Hi there, and welcome to this special Insomnia Insight episode. We're going to do something we haven't done in a long time and something we've never done before. What we haven't done in a long time is read a letter from someone in the community who's left the sleep struggle and wants to help you. What we've never done before is actually reading two such letters. Welcome to the episode from Maria and Megan. Hi there, and welcome back if you are a long-time follower of this channel, and welcome to you if you're new here. Whoever you are, I hope you'll get a lot of value from this episode. And I don't doubt that at all, because this is one of those episodes where we hear the story from the horse's mouth, if you will, from someone who's left the struggle. It's going to be in their own words, literally word for word. We're going to look at two letters that have come in from the community. The first one from Maria, I think I got that letter about 3 weeks ago or something like that. And then one from Megan more recently, maybe 1 week ago. And I actually shared them in our newsletter this Friday. Really powerful letters. So I thought I would also read them and maybe add a little bit of commentary as well, but mostly just read them to share what's really helped Maria and Megan on their journey of leaving the struggle with sleep. So without further ado, let's jump in. Maria says to us, "Hi, Dan. I just wanted to send you an email to thank you for your YouTube videos and books. They've been extremely helpful in helping me recover from recent sleep issues." Anytime, Maria, and thank you for sharing this with us. After having my third baby a couple of years ago, I developed postpartum anxiety, which led to a relapse in my insomnia. I'd had insomnia before after the birth of my second child and used Dr. Guy Meadows' ACT and mindfulness techniques, which helped alleviate the symptoms. This time around, the techniques were not as effective as before. I did an online course with Dr. Meadows and even had a couple of one-on-one chats with him. I did another course with a British lady who advocated sleep restriction, keeping a sleep diary and getting out of bed when you can't sleep. This helped for a bit, but not really. I was getting more and more anxious, especially as the night crept slowly closer and felt very alone. I was prescribed various things by my doctor, all mild things, as I was still breastfeeding. Then I saw someone mention your name on a sleep forum. I downloaded your book and started watching your videos. The things I found the most powerful were people's recovery stories, explaining the physical process of sleep drive, and lastly, the idea of NATO. I think that NATO is similar in a way to Dr. Guy's philosophy of acceptance. The recovery stories, as I mentioned before, were super helpful as they made me feel less alone and that the light of recovery was possible. The biggest thing in my recovery was my Christian faith to help me grasp NATO. I have a print of a painting of Jesus Christ in my bedroom. Jesus is praying in the Garden of Gethsemane. This old painting was something I've had for years and I received after my mother passed away. It's quite shabby and I never really paid much attention to it, but the image has also been pivotal in my recovery and has really helped me in understanding acceptance. Jesus is praying all through the night in the garden. He doesn't care about sleep, whereas his disciples fall asleep and so do not pray. So two things are happening. One, Christ isn't caring about sleep at all. Two, he's fervently praying to his Father to give him the strength to accept his will and soon to be death on the cross. So the painting finally made sense to me, and I felt like all the dots connected. I still have many nights where I struggle to fall asleep. I accept that I will probably not sleep as before. Dr. Guy told me that once you have insomnia, you always see through the lens of insomnia. But I always pray to accept God's will, whether I sleep well or not, and to accept his plan in all things. I don't mind you sharing this email with your viewers if you think it can help them. Kind regards, Maria from the UK. Let's pause there. And first of all, thanks again, Maria, for sharing this with us. And one thing that has been clear to me actually for a long time, but is still exceptionally clear to me, is that when you get the opportunity that I've had to speak to hundreds of people who left the struggle with insomnia and interacted in some shape or form with thousands of people who left the struggle with insomnia, the answer is always the same. It is always someone sharing a version of I stopped caring so much, or I became more accepting, or I stopped fighting so much. I tried less. They all describe some version of effortlessness or some version of not being so attached, right? And here we saw an example of that from Maria, who is a Christian, and for her, seeing Jesus Christ himself not paying attention to much she slept was really key for her. And of course, this channel is non-denominational. We talk a lot about like Buddhist philosophy because that it tends to that we find a lot of teachings in Buddhist philosophy that that really you know still hold a lot of value in terms of like they're very compatible with what we teach here about like not trying and letting go, etc., etc. But we see that the truths are everywhere, and here we saw like something really powerful from Christian tradition from the Bible, and I thought that was really nice to share here. And but again, I think the answer is always the same in here. For we get to hear one version of this answer from Maria. Now, I also want to comment on something that Maria said, that she had heard from Dr. Meadows that once you have had insomnia, things are never quite the same as before. And when you hear that, that can sound scary to you. It can sound like, oh my gosh, I'm never going to be the same again. I'm always going to struggle to some degree. This is, I can never fully recover from insomnia. And that is not true. You can arrive at a place where you don't think about sleep whatsoever, that you sleep perfectly peacefully on a regular basis, that where sleep has like, there's not a second thought about it, right? But at the same time, we don't forget something that was really traumatic or triggering or difficult for us. So I like to think of it as anything else in life that was scary to us. Let's say we had a car accident. It was a really scary car accident to us, and for the next few weeks after the car accident, just thinking of driving can make us have like heart palpitations. We have like sweaty palms. We're thinking constantly about this, right? We become quite frazzled. A couple of months later, we're much less so. We're kind of starting to drive again, but just kind of getting into the car is still something that makes us a bit frazzled. And if you fast forward like 20 years down the line, we drive every day. We don't have a second thought about it. But here and there, we might still be reminded of that accident, right? It's still part of our history. And I think it's the same thing with anything traumatic we go through. We can kind of completely, and by the way, that person who had the car accident, we don't, if that person tells us like, oh yeah, 20 years ago I had a car accident, and still to this day, I'm like little queasy about driving. We don't think of that person as like, oh my gosh, you haven't recovered from your car accident. We just like, yeah, of course, that was a big thing you went through. Like, of course, you still think about it here and there. It's the same thing, whatever we go through, right? It's not like we haven't recovered from it. It's just that it was frightening, and our brain likes to keep us safe, so it kind of reminds us of that a little bit here and there. And yes, I think whatever we've gone through that was frightening to us, we can learn from it actually. So it's really enriching and really helpful in every other aspect of our life, and not have any type of like troublesome impacts on our lives whatsoever, right? So just want to comment on that. Now let's look at our letter from Megan. Megan says, hi Daniel, it's been quite some time, and I just wanted to pass along a little update because your videos and books were such a crucial part of me finally getting back to myself after insomnia. I wanted to send you this message in case you can share any tidbits with your audience. Insomnia is one of the most isolating and painful experiences a person can go through. And now that I am a year plus out of it, I hope that if just one of these tips can help just one person, I won't have gone through it for nothing. Thanks for everything you offer those who need it, and please let me know how I can help in any other way. Have a lovely weekend. Thanks so much, Megan, and you already helped so much. Let's keep reading. I suffered from a pretty extreme insomnia for about a year. I would get no sleep at all for days at a time. During this period, I had to take care of my 3-year-old and work a full-time job. It was a living nightmare. I didn't know who I was anymore. I felt extreme anxiety and started feeling like I couldn't manage my own emotions. I promised myself and the universe and anyone who would listen that if I fought my way out of this debilitating time, I would give back in a way I could to others who are suffering, in any way I could to others who are suffering. First and foremost, and this is a big one, it might sound mean, but you are not special. I say this with love, and you could rephrase it as you're not alone. But for me, this struck a chord. Your insomnia is not special. You don't have a special condition. Some switch flipped in your brain, and you started fearing not being able to fall asleep, just like the rest of us. Take that to heart. Just like the rest of us, as in, just like the many, many people who have recovered, you can too. When you are laying there in a panic, you can almost roll your eyes at yourself. Hint, this may not be step one, it takes time to get there. As part of this, watch the videos on the Sleep Coach School. I would lay in bed with them playing next to me. It was a great reminder that I'm not special. Countless people have suffered and recovered from this nightmare. Daniel's climbing the mountain analogy. Keep climbing to the top. When you're hiking to the summit, do you stop and inspect every pebble or twig that you trip over? You'd never make it up. Just keep going, one foot in front of the other. Be brave. Insomnia can be absolutely terrifying. I remember shaking and sweating through the entire night. Books that helped me: Set It and Forget It and Nado by Daniel, Untethered Soul by Michael Allen Singe, The Sleep Book, How to Sleep Well Every Night by Dr. Guy Meadows. Other resources: Beth Kendall, podcasts and research on mindfulness. Keep living your life. This one is so hard when you're tired, down to your very bones. But gentle walks, seeing friends, and doing things you enjoy really helps. You look back at your time of sleeplessness and be shocked by all the things you still managed to enjoy. Have a party with your feelings. This may have been from Dr. Meadows' book, but there was one patient who said she had a party with all her emotions at night. She would greet them as she lay there in her bed. Hi, fear. Hello, anger. Nice to see you again, sadness. It sounds silly, but it can really help take the power away from those feelings. I would envision a little team of guardians that were blocking the negative thoughts and bringing me peace. My team was all my sweet pups who have passed away. We would be in a serene meadow, and in time, negative thoughts tried to creep in, and I would see their faces. Whatever kind of visualization work for you are worth a try. More advice from Daniel, but stop talking about the bad nights and focus on the good ones. Shout from the rooftops that you had a great night's sleep. Tell friends and family who know you are struggling not to ask how you slept. Think of this as less burying your head in the sand and more giving power to the positive. See a therapist or a psychiatrist. You may need an extra boost to get through this, and there's nothing wrong with that. I found a psychiatrist who prescribed me anti-anxiety medicine, and it was a tool I needed that allowed me to better work on all of the other things I've mentioned. I've since been able to wean off it, and I'm so grateful it was there for me when I needed it. Try your best not to overhype sleep. I started shifting from, I just want to sleep, I would do anything to fall asleep tonight, to a simple, can't wait to climb into my soft sheets and rest my eyes. Just focusing on the idea of resting felt like a lot less pressure. For me, getting up and doing something fun, like watching a favorite TV show or reading, did not work. I was effing tired. My eyeballs didn't want more blue light. What worked was, again, focusing on resting, confronting the scary feelings and emotions that came up, and giving myself grace. Eventually, these things started to sink in. Do not Google it. Google is the enemy. Read the books, watch the YouTube videos, and focus on the positive stories. You are not special. You're not alone. You got this. Thank you, Megan, for sharing this. And I hope this brought a lot of value to you. And just a few comments on what Megan shared. Firstly, that hiking analogy, it basically goes like Megan described it, that if the path of leaving the struggle, you can think of it as hiking to a mountaintop. And when we're hiking, we typically stumble over like a root or a pebble or something like that. And if we would stop and focus on that and think of like, why is this pebble here? Why did I trip on this root? How can I prevent it from happening again? Then, we're not hiking anymore. We will stay there at the root. And those those times we stumble are basically what we call those speed bumps, when things get difficult for us, when we think we're back to square one and we think we've lost our progress or something like that. And if we just see that that's not the case, our brain is just sometimes gets a little frazzled, then we have some trouble sleeping. And if we just keep doing what we want to do, keep living our life as Megan says, then we're hiking and we'll arrive at a place where there's no struggle anymore. That's the hiking analogy. Now, part of the reason why I bring it up is that actually came from Sasha Stevens, author of The Effortless Sleep Method, who was a guest on the channel, by the way. That's really her analogy. I think she didn't have like the mountaintop. I think it's just hiking. So I think I maybe modified a little bit, but anyway, it's from her. So credit where credit is due. Very nice analogy. And the other thing I was just going to comment on was that I think anything that leads us to a place where we have more peace of mind and peaceful sleep, it's wonderful. Now, when you hear Megan's story, you may think like, oh, Megan took anti-anxiety medication. I must take that as well. And I would say what's so helpful to know is that when something leads us to have more peace of mind, feeling less anxious or less sad for that matter, or less angry for that matter, is really not like chemicals inside a pill that produce less anxiety, because anxiety comes from how we think. When we think of something as a threat, then we can feel angry or scared or anxious, right? And chemicals inside pills, they don't change how we think. Like there's no way like you can with precision design a drug to change how we think, right? So all they do is just produce some level of sedation. And that alone doesn't make us less anxious. We can be very sedated and very anxious at the same time, right? So what helps us really when we take something and we think, oh, good, this will take care of anxiety for me. I don't have to do anything about the anxiety now. That's magic. Because when we're no longer trying to stop ourselves from being anxious, for example, then we become less anxious because there's no resistance that keeps the anxiety going, right? A peace of mind and peaceful sleep always comes from a place of effortlessness. And now with that said, if I would say that whatever leads you to that place where you're trying less, when you're seeing that there's, there are low stakes, there's no threat in not sleeping. Taking medication is no threat. Talking to a psychiatrist is no threat. There's nothing threatening in your world. That is wonderful. And there are millions of people living on this planet, peaceful lives, full of meaning and joy, who take antidepressants and anti-anxiety medications. There's millions of people who live wonderful lives full of meaning and purpose who don't take medication or antidepressants. And so I just want to highlight this. And by the way, when things are low stakes like that, when we think it doesn't matter if I take this or not, doesn't matter if I see a psychiatrist or not, doesn't matter if I see a psychologist or not, doesn't matter if I go to a hospital or not, like then we're in this low stakes environment where oftentimes, if you don't particularly want to take medication, then you don't. It's easy to stop, like Megan did, right? I'm not saying it was easy for Megan, but I think the kind of low stakes environment she found herself in, thanks to the way she was thinking about things, led to her coming off without a big struggle. So those were just little pointers on my end, but I want to again thank Marie and Megan for sharing this with us. And I think this what Megan talked about here, and Maria too, about not feeling so alone, and knowing that many people have gone through what you're going through is so powerful. And that's one of the reasons I really want to share these two letters. So we'll conclude there. As always, comments are welcome, questions are welcome. Put them in the comment section, and we'll do our best to get to all of them. With that said, see you soon in another episode. Bye for now. Hi, it's me, Coach Daniel, and I hope you are feeling excited right now because you're so close to the finish line of Insomnia. And if you found that aha moment you've been looking for in this video, please share it with the world. Because insomnia can be such a lonely and isolating place before you find our community. Speaking of which, if you would like some more personalized support on your journey, then head over to thesleepcoachschool.com. We have free and paid courses available with certified sleep coaches who have seen the worst of insomnia, left the struggle, and now are ready to help you. If you decide to join, we look forward to seeing you on the other side.